الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Is this fixed خلاص إن شاء الله Isa?
Yes.
I was hoping not to break any teeth with this. I've tried it before, but alhamdulillah, saved by the bell. So we're talking about stress. The subject, when I started wanting to compile something on it, I found it to be a little bit extended. It's good for an hour or two lecture, because these are human feelings. So stress, anxiety, depression, anger, these are feelings that began with the beginning of mankind. And Muslims and non-Muslims have it. Righteous and sinners have it. So if you want to go back in time without going into a time capsule, because this is nonsense, but any figure of speech, if you go back in time, what were the feelings of Prophet Adam when he descended to earth from paradise because of the sin he had committed? You can imagine. What were the feelings of Prophet Nuh calling his son to come on board, and he's refusing, disbelieving in Allah Azza wa Jal, and deciding to drown with the kafir? What were the feelings of Ibrahim, this young teenager, this young man who destroyed the idols that they used to worship, and as a punishment they threw him in the raging fire? How did he feel? How did he feel when he was over 80 years of age without any children? And when Allah blessed him with a boy, just as he was 14 years of age, Allah tells him to slaughter his own son with his own hands. What do you think went through his mind at the time? What were the feelings of Prophet Yaqub when he lost his son by the plotting of his other sons, his most beloved son Yusuf, knowing that they're lying and no wolf had attacked him? And somewhere down the line, few years, maybe 15 or 20 years later on, he loses another child of his. What went through his mind? It impacted him without any doubt, though he had the highest levels of iman. So when you see someone depressed or angry or sad, don't jump to conclusions. Prophet Yaqub, peace be upon him, lost his sight. He was blinded because of his sadness, because of such anxiety, though he had the highest levels of dependence and trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. This is human nature. Allah mentioned in the Quran, when the sorcerers of Pharaoh threw their staffs, and it looked to the people that they were what? Snakes. Among those who were tricked by their tricks was Musa, which means that even prophets and messengers can be casted a spell, can be affected by magic. So he was intimidated for a while until Allah Azza wa Jal calmed him down. So these are things that you have to contemplate upon. His feelings when he ran away with Bani Israel and they were blocked by the sea, and behind him was Pharaoh and his soldiers. Everyone was terrified, not him, because he trusted Allah Azza wa Jal when Allah gave him the revelation, the miracle, and what to do. So there are literally tens and hundreds of similar examples that we can spend the whole night just talking about these examples. But the time is limited. And as Dr. Yusuf said, I don't know why I always call that to you. Zallah khair, as he stated that there is some form of stress that is positive, and there is some sort of stress that is negative. The positive type of stress is not constant, it's not continuous, it comes and goes, and it is for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is positive. The Prophet ﷺ once prayed a prayer, and after he concluded the prayer, usually he turns around, faces the congregation, and does his adhkar. This incident, he stood up quickly, cutting the rows, and went to one of his wife's homes. The companions were terrified. They felt that there was something wrong. Maybe an enemy is attacking. Maybe the Prophet ﷺ is not feeling well. And the Prophet came after a while. When he saw the expression on the people's faces, he told them that, I remembered that I had some gold in my possession, and I did not want it to stay with me this long. So I had to go and disperse it in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal. This stressed the Prophet ﷺ and caused him to take action. This stress is negative or positive? Positive. Definitely is positive, because the Prophet faced it ﷺ. Allah Azza wa Jal described to us the stress that we believers have. Do we have stress in this dunya?
Yes.
Yes. The biggest stress we Muslims have is the fear of hell. Otherwise we would have been the richest, the strongest, and the most among all the people of earth in every aspect. What is preventing me from doing haram, enjoying life, of embezzling and taking people's money without any right, of partying all night long? What's preventing me from doing this? Allah says in the Quran, they will say, that is the people of Jannah, indeed we were previously among our people fearful of displeasing Allah. This is a description of a believer. He's always fearful of what? Jawazat? No, definitely not. He's fearful of Allah Azza wa Jal. Every step he takes, every move he makes, he's always fearful that Allah Azza wa Jal will punish him. If not in this life, in the hereafter. That's why he's fearful. So this kind of stress, positive or negative? Subhanallah. The scholars of all times used to pray night prayer. One of them was Imam Ahmad. He used to pray when he was 10 years of age, night prayer. Not forcing him to pray fard. He used to pray night prayer. And scholars would say, this man or this boy has a bright future. One of the scholars used to pray night prayer, and his mother would come to him filled with mercy and say, my son, sleep. He says, oh mom, I will sleep in my grave for a long, long time. So they have this fear in them, and this is a positive fear. A Muslim has this stress resulting from people not accepting his da'wah. A da'i is always on the move, 24/7. So you see someone, he gives him da'wah. He is asked a question, he answers. He sees something evil, he tries diplomatically to tackle it and wisely, so that he calls people. He looks at his family, he looks at his loved ones, his in-laws. He wants everybody to come in, but does it always happen? Unfortunately, not. Our Prophet ﷺ was so stressed about this issue that Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, which we recite every Friday, then perhaps you would kill yourself through grief over them, O Muhammad, if they do not believe in the message and out of sorrow. This shows you how the Prophet felt, alayhi salatu wasalam. Unlike us, unfortunately, we see evil being committed in front of us, among our loved ones, among our relatives, and we shrug our shoulders and walk away. The Prophet would not do this, alayhi salam. He would be involved emotionally and physically, trying his level best to salvage, to secure, to save them from hellfire. So, commercials. The Prophet ﷺ told us about an incident where Ali ibn Abi Talib wanted to marry another woman over Fatima, take a second wife. And the sisters say, yes, Sheikh, what happened? This is only for Prophet ﷺ and his daughter. Don't compare yourself. Yes, ya Sheikh, but this is a hadith, authentic. Yes, it's authentic. This is a different issue. Let me skip this. No, I will not skip it. So, when the Prophet heard about this, that Ali wanting to marry the daughter of Abu Jahl, who's a Muslim, the daughter is a Muslim, but her father is an enemy of Islam, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, I heard this and it saddens me. It harms me. Whatever saddens and harms Fatima. End of story. Ali said, that's it. Khalas, I got the conclusion. So the Prophet is explaining to us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that whatever angers, annoys, harms Fatima, does the same to him. And this means that whoever does it to Fatima will nullify his Islam. That's why Ali refrained. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, O sisters, the Prophet said, I do not make what is halal haram. I'm not prohibiting Ali to marry, this is halal. But due to this specific condition in such a marriage that would annoy Fatima, which would subsequently annoy me, this is a no-go. And Ali, you know what he did. Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, the best of this ummah, the first to enter Jannah from the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. When he was with the Prophet in the cave, he was tensed. Now he knows all the angels are protecting them with the grace of Allah. Allah is with them, everything is with them, because they are with Allah. Yet he could not help being stressed, being tensed. Oh Prophet of Allah, if one of them looked beneath his feet, he would have detected us. He would have seen us. He was worried. And the Prophet ﷺ was calming him down by saying, what do you think of two? Allah is the third. They can't be beaten. They're victorious by default. Umar radiallahu anhu, 3 days before he was assassinated, he said, by Allah, if I, insha'Allah, would live, I will let the widows in Iraq need no one after me. Meaning I'll suffice them, I'll provide for them, I'll give them shelter, I'll give them provision, so that the widows would not beg. May Allah be pleased with Umar. How many Umars do we need now in the Muslim world? He's taking care of the women of Iraq that was conquered few months, maybe a year or two ago. Caring for them. He used to say, by Allah, if a donkey would to trip and fall, I would be fearful that Allah would ask me about it. A donkey. I'm not going to go further. Let us stick to stress, because now I'm stressful. So let's go into the field of negative stress. What do you mean by negative stress? Any stress that is concerned to this dunya and that does not benefit you. So there is this negative stress when someone is stressful about sins. Someone is pursuing sin and trying his level best to make it happen. What are you doing, my friend? He said, well, I've been plotting for 3 months so that I can get a date with this woman. She's a colleague. She is a neighbor. She is someone I like. So I've been plotting, I've been stalking her on Facebook, on Twitter, sending her emails. Valentine 2 days ago, you missed it. I sent her some candies and red flowers and etc. So I'm really stressed, Sheikh. Make dua for me. Allah yakhdak. May Allah take you. Make dua for you? What are you, stupid? What is he doing? He's stressed over a sin. Now, a lot of the people get this negative stress. I get emails like crazy. And they say, Sheikh, I'd like to abort my wife's pregnancy. Why? Because we're fearful that we are not able to save for a house back home, or the salary is not enough, or this or that. Subhanallah. Who is the provider, akhi? Yeah, Sheikh, but we have to abort. Although the child is, the pregnancy is only 8 months, Sheikh. 8 months. It's offering prayer, subhanallah. It's alive. Not like the aliens, but it is alive. It's there. It's the soul. Allah has breathed the soul into it. And you want to kill it? Said, yeah, because we don't have cash. We don't have money. Subhanallah. Others, when they did a survey, the most top reason for stress is how people look. And this is obvious with sisters who spend usually few hours in front of the mirror, but the mirror does not respond back. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Definitely not you. This is a problem. Nowadays, mashallah, men are also stressful. I've seen men plucking their eyebrows, putting creams and foundation. Once I was talking to a brother, and he was giving me so much detailed information about makeups, about foundation, about subhanallah. What kind of men are we having? These types of stress is negative and definitely not among the things that would draw you closer to Allah. Look at the West. Look at the disbelievers who are civilized, who have all means of prosperity and a happy living. They commit suicide like crazy. They commit heinous crimes. They go into a high school, they kill innocent students. Subhanallah. Why are you doing this? My cat didn't eat the food yesterday. So I went into a rampage and I killed like 24 people. Going to Las Vegas, killing 50, 60, 70 people. Why are you doing this? They're stressed over things that have no value. They're committing suicide. Why? Because my hair is falling and I cannot live with it. I tried everything I couldn't. A woman commits suicide because she has a skin disease and people do not look at her. Subhanallah. Prophet Ayub, Prophet Jacob was left near the junkyard. For 18 years people neglected him. Were disgusted by him because of the illness that took place. 18 years. And he was patient, tolerant, and he was a prophet of Allah. And you, because of this tiny thing, this is what you do? So, if we were to look into the issue from an Islamic perspective, we find that stress is inevitable. But we tend to adapt. We tend to adapt to it in a way that turns it into positive and draws us closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, in a beautiful hadith, to all those who have worries and calamities, to all those who are stressed, you're a believer? Yes, inshallah. Listen, the Prophet says, alayhi salam, how wonderful is the affair of the believer. For all his affairs are good. Even if I have a surgery, it's good for you. Even if I break my leg, it's good for you. The Prophet says, and this applies to no one except the believer. If something good happens to him, I get a raise, I get a gift of money, my children pass the exam. If something good happens to him, he gives thanks to Allah, and that is good for him. And if something bad happens to him, he bears it with patience, and that is good for him. Narrated by Imam Muslim. So in both cases, it's a win-win. Now you tell me, Sheikh, that if you're driving, by the way, I parked in a very beautiful parking downstairs. very small place. I thought it was reserved for me. So inshallah, nothing happens to my car. If I come out and I find it, a hit, or I have an accident, how would I feel? I will feel stressed. But this comes in like a fraction of a second, then I say, Alhamdulillah, it could have been worse. I could have hit someone, killed him. I could have been the one who was hit, not my car. So always think positive, and you acknowledge the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal is saving that for you on the day of judgment. Worrying is inevitable. Being stressed is something human. You have to have it, but you have to know how to live with it, how to transfer it into something positive. Listen to this beautiful hadith. The Prophet ﷺ is dividing people into two types in terms of their worry, anxiety, etc. He says, whoever is mainly concerned about the hereafter, yani all your worries, all your motivation is concerned with the hereafter, with al-akhirah. It is stated that the people in UK worship Allah on Sundays, those who are committed, and worship Barclay Bank the rest of the week. Nowadays, Muslims are like this, but I don't know which bank is it, Rajhi or Ahli. Unfortunately, we tend to worship Allah 24/7, even in our leisure, even in our playtime, even when being intimate with our spouses. This is for the sake of Allah. We're having fun and we're being rewarded for it. So the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever is mainly concerned about the hereafter, Allah will make him feel independent of others, will make him focused and content, and his worldly affairs will fall into place. But whoever is mainly concerned with this dunya, with this world, all what he thinks about, how much I'm gonna earn, what about the raise, what about the incentive, what about my rent, what about my children going into international school or to Indian school or Pakistani or Bangladeshi or Sri Lankan or an Arab school, what about my this, and all what they think and concerned of is dunya. But whoever is mainly concerned with this world, Allah will make him feel in constant need of others and will make him distracted and unfocused, and he will get nothing of this world except what Allah had decreed for him. This is scary when you hear this and you find that this is exactly how we feel, distracted, unfocused, because all what goes into our minds, even just the second before we fall asleep, this world, what will I do? Will I be able to sustain a happy life? Would I be able to do this or that? We have a problem. The solution. We have 6 minutes and I have like 40 more minutes to go for the solution. You want me to give you the solution? Well, like suspense, next lecture inshallah. Well, you can wait for the second episode where we will inshallah see a preview of it. You can tune to YouTube. Well, I'll make it in the discussion. In the discussion, Sheikh says in the discussion. So I have solutions, like seriously, will take an hour. We can summarize it in a couple of minutes, but I will not give it its due right. So maybe in the discussion, inshallah, we will talk more and elaborate more on this. بإذن الله. هذا والله أعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.
Barakallah feek, Sheikh. MashaAllah. Thank you for keeping to the time. Like I said, we wanted to keep this evening, inshallah, more of a discussion and to get you involved. So we will open the floor, inshallah, to questions. I don't know what the provision will be from the sister side. Maybe they can write them on a piece of paper. It's probably the best way, Sheikh.
Or use a microphone.
If they have a mic and they can speak, Sheikh Isa, if you can look into that, whether it's paper or voice. We have a good number of sisters that are here, so they should get a fair chance to ask the questions, because I think the men cause a lot of stress for the sisters anyway.
Touche.
Okay, so they need to be given that chance. Okay, Bismillah. So we will, if you raise your hand, I don't know if we have a microphone, but if you just raise your voice and I will repeat the question to the Shaykh and we will respond accordingly. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, for everything there is a beginning and there is an end. So I would like to know, for stress, what's the beginning? And for stress, what is the end?
Okay, I'll just repeat the question. The brother said, everything has a beginning and an end. So what is the beginning of stress and what is the end of stress?
Well, it depends on the incident. So if I'm stressed about financial reasons and constraints, this is the beginning. I have to pay X amount which I do not have. How does it end? It either ends by getting the money and khalas, I have no stress, I have surplus, or by my belief and conviction. And this is one of the best or second best cures for it. The issue of being content, the issue of believing in Allah's predestiny. Now, if you have this, the knowledge, we all have it. The implementation is the most difficult part. So many times I get these ideas because I won't be sharing something personal, but maybe it's personal, who knows. I have 9 girls who are not married. I have 4 that are married, alhamdulillah, with grandchildren, happy. I have 9 that are not married. Every time I go to bed, Shaitan comes. He says, don't sleep. If you die, who will marry them? Who will take care of them? Who will give them a house to live in? Who will make sure that they marry the right man? And then I say to him, hey, listen, I have Fajr to wake up for. You crazy? Come in Fajr. I tell myself, this is not in my hand. This is something that Allah wrote 50,000 years before creating the creation. Imagine the Prophet tells us, when Allah first created the pen, Allah told the pen to write. The pen said, what should I write, O my Lord? Allah told him, write the destiny of all creation until the day of judgment. The Prophet said, and this was 50,000 years before Allah created the universe, the creation. So if it is done and over with, why should I care? So your stress ends the moment you have this conviction. Look around you. Who provides for you? Answer. Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, Sheikh, but my salary has been deducted, so many things, I have so much to pay. Akhi, who's the provider? Allah Azza wa Jal. Look around you. How many animals do we have on the surface of the earth? Lions, gazelles, cheetahs. How many birds? How many fish in the oceans? How many insects? Who is feeding them? How many degrees do they have? Masters, MBA, PhD, experience, CVs, nothing. They go in the morning and they come in the evening with filled bellies and they're feeding their children, and the house, the rent, alhamdulillah, is free. May Allah grant this house with free rent. This is how, if you have this content, you will not have stress. But the issue is when stress keeps on eating you. Yeah, I know, I believe that Allah Azza wa Jal has preordained everything, but no, as Queen Victoria used to say, but me no but. Don't put any buts. Khalas, full stop, have conviction, your stress is over, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek. Shaykh Isa, the sisters' questions. Okay, while we're waiting for the sisters, we'll take another one from the brother's side.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Sheikh, it's very delighted to see you. Last time I met you, we went to Abu Dhabi together in the flight.
MashaAllah.
I do have your business card also. Sheikh, my question is, now stress, sometimes personal and the business, most of the time it comes from the business atmosphere, corporate level. How do brothers or how employee can manage this kind of stress?
Okay, just to repeat the question, the brother mentioned that stress in terms of the workplace and business related comes from the environment, and of course most of the brothers work in very competitive environments. So how does one deal with that?
The same, Akhi, the same thing. See, when you are challenged, not mentally, when you are challenged in an environment, it's like when you go to the gym. When you go to the gym and you see people pumping iron and bench pressing 100 kg, 200 pounds, and I go this, this is stressful, man. I'll get someone from abroad on my visa and give a visa and let him work out for 2 hours, sweat like crazy, go home, have a shower. Alhamdulillah, I worked out. He worked out, but how to solve such a stress? It's a challenge. You take everything in life as a challenge. So this stress becomes positive. In corporate life, which I was fortunate to work for about 12 years before, alhamdulillah, retiring personally out of my own will, not to do any job. I'm a bum. I don't have any jobs at the moment. I just, come here, give a lecture and leave. Easy life. Allahumma lakal hamd. So I, out of my own choice, left it. Why? Simply because it was stressful, but even through stress, with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the only thing that was stressing me was waking up and working 9 hours a day. That's it. Work itself, whether there's the CEO, the VP, or the directors, we were all in harmony in the sense that you communicate. Don't be stubborn. Don't always say my way or the highway. Be flexible. If you're flexible, even with your wife, with your spouse, you lead a happy life. If you're flexible with whatever happens, someone crosses in front of you, your car, drivers in Jeddah are the best drivers in the world. This is what I used to think until I went to Calcutta. MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. So, drivers are awful here. They don't respect anyone. So someone comes in and cuts in front of me with his car. What happens? I'm stressful. What do you want to do? I want to go and cut in front of him, and if I can, let him have an accident in the light pole. If possible. If not, then I want to make... Why? Because he did this to me. Again, why? It could have been worse. He could have hit you. And then you would come out, say, oh, my new car, and you start crying and wailing. But Allah saved you from this. You want to pursue it, so you have to try to be tolerant. You have to be flexible, ready to accept it. You live a good life. Thirdly, you do your due diligence. You do your job. No one can speak against you. If you do whatever is in your job description and you exceed that, no one can criticize you. If they do criticize you, I have my results. This is my work. So you are stressful when you don't do your job. When people criticize you for coming late or for delaying, handing or achieving your target, you become stressful because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. If you do it, and if you know how to be flexible and to balance your time, life would be very easy, inshallah.
Okay, we have some questions from the sister side. The first one here, how to deal with the stress when people insult you?
Okay. You can have 2 ways. One, either to talk back. So one tells me, insults me, I insult him back. Would this end it or escalate it? It will escalate. So it depends on how you can deal with others. Some people shoot first then ask questions. And this is wrong. You have to train yourself, condition yourself. 20, 25 years ago, Nokia phones. The moment we used to buy them, it tells you to condition your battery. Charge it to the full and wait until it dries out completely, then charge it again, just expands it. You have to do the same with your own battery. How is that, Sheikh? It's difficult. It's difficult, but it is needed. Now, when someone insults you, they live on your reaction. People live on how angry you get. So when I insult you and you turn into red and you start shouting, cursing, insulting me, I'm satisfied. Look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. Subhanallah. This is how you were brought up. This is how your parents brought you up. Subhanallah. This is Islam. Look at your long beard. Ya akhi, shave your beard if you cannot behave well. This is what they tell us. So they live, they thrive on making you angry and on provoking you. But when you, and this is what I always tell the sisters, if you ask me questions on my website, I hope you don't, because I can barely answer them, alhamdulillah, now. But if all the sisters who ask me, Sheikh, my mother-in-law, and I spent days trying to analyze MIL. Every woman says, Sheikh, my MIL. I said, I know MIB. My MIL? And I kept on thinking, and then I came to, alhamdulillah, okay, mother-in-law. So they complained, Sheikh, my mother-in-law criticizes me. My mother-in-law checks on me to see if I'm asleep or not, because she wants me to wake up early and to clean and to do. My mother-in-law says that I'm getting fat, and my other sister-in-law, I'm not serving her, I'm not cooking. They complain a lot. So I always give the same answer. And this is one of the ways of solving your stress issues. And that is, do not get involved with trivial and small issues. Think big. So I always tell the sisters, imagine that there are people, Muslims like you and me, out there who are starving and unable to get food to eat. Is that true? Yes. In refugee camps. There are Muslims in drought-stricken areas. They have famine and drought, no rain. And they're looking for a grain to eat, traveling tens of kilometers just for a glass of water. There are Muslims in countries that find no security. You pray 5 times in the masjid, huh? You go shopping, you come back, there's no bombing, there's no shelling, there's no assassinations. Alhamdulillah, there's not even people stealing you. Ya Rabbi lak alhamd. There are people who are traveling from country to country, facing drowning in the middle of the sea. Refugees, they have no place to go. So I tell this sister, your mother-in-law or these calamities? She says, no, my mother-in-law, bring me another one. I'll bring you a co-wife. She said, no, then I'd like another calamity. So this is one way of doing it. But still, Sheikh, I believe that I'm in ni'mah, in a favor and blessing. But how can I face such insults? I'll tell you how. It needs training and conditioning. First of all, when anyone insults you, do not argue with them. Never defend yourself. So she says, why didn't you cook the food? Don't say, I cooked yesterday and the day before and the day before, but today I had this, no. Just keep on smiling. That's dumb, but it works. Never defend yourself. Never argue. Yeah, but you did this, I did that. You said this, I said that. Never argue. A big smile. And just be polite. Why didn't you clean the house? Inshallah. Shrug your shoulders and move on. After 3 or 4 or 5 attempts, they will feel silly and they will stop. Because what they thrive on is provoking you and making you angry, making you shout, making you disrespectful and impolite. But you're exactly doing the opposite. So who is disrespectful? Who is impolite? Who is the one on the wrong end? They are. Is this easy, Sheikh? No. But life is not easy. You have to work on it. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, you know him? Some describe him as the 5th caliph. He was a righteous, pious, wise, knowledgeable man. He was a Khalifa. Once he entered Masjid al-Madinah, al-Nabawi, al-Masjid al-Nabawi, with his bodyguard. And it was before Fajr. They didn't have any lanterns, no lights like they do, mashallah. Now today it's daytime, 24/7. So he went in the darkness, tried to manage his way because there were people sleeping on the ground, trying to reach the front row. And while attempting to do this, he stepped on a man who was asleep without knowledge, without knowing, without intending. So the man woke up in pain, frightened, shouting, "What are you? Are you blind? Are you crazy?" Insulting, but usually it comes without knowledge. He didn't know who he was addressing. So the Khalifa Umar said, "No," and walked away. Now the bodyguard wanted to fulfill his job description. So he grabbed the man, he wanted to give him a beating. This is what they usually do. They are good at this. So the Khalifa said, "What are you doing? Leave him." He said, "Didn't you hear what he said?" He said, "Yes, he asked me a question and I answered him." "Are you crazy?" "No." "Are you blind?" "No." Salam alaikum. So when someone comes to you and says, "Are you a donkey?" people get offended. I have even my children, when I speak to them, when someone tells you, "Are you a donkey?" I say, answer them, say, "No." When someone tells you, "La, you are a donkey," will you grow ears and a tail? No. Just shrug your shoulders and walk away. This is a sign of strength. Fighting is not a sign of strength. Controlling your anger, trying to tolerate such an insult is a sign of strength, and Allah knows best.
Okay, one more from the sister side. A friend has loss of appetite and is overly stressed due to issues at work. He constantly feels anxiety and depression. So what's the solution for this?
Again, the solution is in over so many points that I have collected. But again, believe in Allah. Trust Allah. Depend on Allah. Have total reliance on Allah Azza wa Jal. Things will move on. Now, you have to know that being stressed will not solve anything. You have a calamity. You have stress at work. Bang your head as hard as possible in the wall. Even if it leads to make a crack in it. No problem. Do it. Do it. Will your problem be solved? Weep and cry all day long. Will anything happen? The scholars say, in a calamity, a wise man does what a fool does a month later. Let's assume that we have a wise person and a fool. And each one of them was afflicted by a calamity. Their son died. What will the fool do? He will cry, bang his head, tear his clothes, slap his face for a whole month. After 1 month, what will happen? He will forget and calm down. A wise man does that from the first day. Khalas, he knows that it had taken place. The damage is done. So why increase it? Try to preserve whatever is possible. So therefore, I forgot the question. Yes, at work. So a loss of appetite and the stress you are getting at work. Why make others depressed as well? If you have problems at work, wallahi, when I used to work before becoming a monk, You'll find donation boxes at the entrance for me if you want. No problem. When I was at work, I worked for 15 years as a school teacher in high school, public high school. And then 7 years as a public relation manager in a global company. Alhamdulillah, I used to travel a lot. And 5 years a director in human resources in a mining company. So they were decent jobs, alhamdulillah. I would never ever tell my wife anything about work. Neither good nor bad. When I come home, I'm home. Yeah, I am a father, I am a husband. My work has nothing to do with my wife. She says, what happens? Everything is fine. And I had 3 fights. But everything is fine, everything is fine. This is how you should be. Work is at work. Home, like Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I love to see a man in his home like a child playing. So you're serious when you're outside. I'm afraid I'm the opposite. Anyhow, you're serious outside. Everything is okay. But when you're home, you're like a child playing with your wife, with your children. You lift up your guard because they are your family. So if you do this, you manage, inshallah, to live a stressless life. Don't share your problems with them and make them depressed. Eat. Try to enjoy life. Try to see the full half of the glass rather than the empty half of the glass. Though it's the same glass. If we have a glass filled with half of it water, if you're pessimistic, you'd say it's half full. If you're optimistic, you say, let me reverse that. If you are pessimistic, you would say it's half empty. And if you're optimistic, you'd say it's half full. It's the same glass. So try to do this, train yourself, condition it, and inshallah, you will have a better appetite.
There's a lot of questions here. I will group them together, and inshallah we'll try to go through them. One question here, Sheikh. What is a good dua to make when someone is in stress and for asking for patience?
The best dua that the Prophet directed us for, alayhi salatu wassalam, is the dua of the Noon. Who's the Noon? Prophet Yunus. Who's Prophet Yunus? The one who was swallowed by the whale. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, the dua of my brother, the Noon, when he asked Allah while he was in the belly of the whale, La ilaha illa anta subhanak inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Repeat this a gazillion times. Keep on repeating it. All stress will go away. The Prophet ﷺ said, no one supplicates with it except Allah will answer his supplication. So you want a raise in your pay, you want your debts to be paid off, you want your spouse to become righteous, continue reciting this dua when you ask Allah for something. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said to Asma bint Umays. Asma bint Umays, may Allah be pleased with her, was one of the great female companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So many times we're stressed because of divorce. Sisters write to me. She says, Sheikh, I was divorced 3 times. I'm 25 years of age. 3 times. Of course, it's not her mistake. A drunkard, a drug addict, and someone who does not pray. What does she have to do with all of this? It's a wrong choice by her parents. Alhamdulillah. And she says, I'm stressful. I've lost hope in life. Don't. Asma bint Umays, may Allah be pleased with her, was married to 3 of the companions. Not due to divorce, but this is her fate. She was married to Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, had 3 children of him. He was martyred in the Ma'rakat of Mu'tah. Then Abu Bakr married her and had a son from her called Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. And then he died and she washed him. Then she married Ali ibn Abi Talib, the brother of Ja'far. So 3 great companions were married to this great woman. And she asked the Prophet ﷺ that I'm stressed, I'm tired. What should I say? The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, should I teach you words that you say at times of calamity? So the Prophet is teaching her And this is the best of things you can say in times of calamity. What is it? The Prophet said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allahu Rabbi la ushriku bihi shay'an. That's it. That's it. What does it mean, Sheikh? How can it help? Tawheed is the best cure to your stress. Allahu Rabbi. Now I am stressed. My wife is nagging all the time and she's causing me trouble. She wants to go to places I cannot afford it. She wants to change the furniture of the house. I cannot afford it. She wants this and that and I cannot do it for her. She is killing me. I'm diabetic, I have blood pressure, I have this and that because of my wife. Inshallah, she's not listening. She is a sweetheart. MashaAllah. I'm lying. Yeah, but I'm trying to. No, seriously, MashaAllah. She lived with me for 34 years. What do you expect? We were married in the past century. Alhamdulillah, that's old, how old she is. Anyhow. So, I'm stressed. What should I say? Allahu Rabbi. I acknowledge that Allah is my Lord and I do not associate others with Him. And I, among monotheism, among Tawheed, you repeat this, all your worries will go away. Because when you look at things after repeating this so long, you tend to see them differently. How? Allah Azza wa Jalla is my Lord. He takes care of me. He provides for me. He gives me sustenance. He gives me the breath that I take and I breathe. He makes the blood runs into my veins. So what could worry me in this life? Nothing. So whenever you repeat on this, this will inshallah help you a lot. Of course, among the dua, and this requires a separate lecture, among the great du'as that the Prophet ﷺ used to often repeat, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajzi wal-kasal wal-bukhli wal-jubun wa ضلع الدين وغلبة الرجال. 8 things. The first two, Sheikh Yusuf had mentioned earlier in his opening speech when he said that the things that stress you may be in the past, things that sadden you, a loss of a loved one, a loss of a fortune, a loss of health, something that is gone, or something that is coming in the future that you're fearful of. So al-hazan is what was in the past. Allahumma na'udhu bika min al-ham. Al-ham is what is coming in the future that you always think about. My children, will they be able to go to university? Will they be guided? This is what I think most of the time, and the majority of my dua is on this, that Allah guides my children, Allah makes them righteous and imams for the Muslims, and Allah that grants them a righteous spouse and offspring. This is what we care about. So this is in the future. Ham. Al-hazan, things that I've done in the past that I don't know whether Allah will forgive or not. May Allah Azza wa Jalla forgive all our sins.
Okay, some of these questions here, I think Sheikh, you've answered them directly or indirectly through this dua and these things. People are talking about if they're working and worried about the rizq, the sustenance not being enough, if their repentance, if the tawbah has been accepted, how to deal with them. And then you have one here where somebody is concerned about their children using too much technology and wasting time. So how would you advise these parents?
Wallahi, I advise them not to let them get involved with these stupid dumb phones. They call them smartphones. I call them dumb phones. I see my children when we sit at my mother's house, their grandmother, and each one is holding the phone, and my mom shouts at them, if you want to visit me, don't bring these devices with you. It's a shame that when it's lunchtime, we WhatsApp one another, although we're in the same room, it's lunchtime. Come and eat. We're in the same room. What is this? I feel that these smartphones fit in the category of wine, intoxicants, and gambling. Allah says in the Quran, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. They ask you, O Muhammad, about intoxicants and gambling. قُلْ فِيهِمَا قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. Say that in these two there is great sin and some benefits, and the sin outweighs the benefit. What is the conclusion? Allah doesn't tell you it's haram. Khalas, you understand. Because whatever outweighs the other takes the ruling. So, if you look at these phones, can we... Jazakallah khair. Yes, give me one. If we look at these smartphones, these PDAs, these laptops, is there any good and benefit in them? Yes, definitely. No one can say no. But the harm outweighs, especially in the wrong hands. So if I have a Veyron or a Tesla P100, one of the fastest cars in the world from 0 to 100, expensive but a little bit fast. Is it good? Yes, mashallah. If I give it to the wrong hands, if I give it to a child who does not know how to drive it, will it be bad? It will kill him. So these devices are good in the hands of 1%. Even the old people, the grown-ups, even my father, your uncle, your brother, it's harmful for them. I get loads of emails from sisters. My husband is addicted to Facebook. Or as Sheikh Wajdi Akkari says, face hell. It's not Facebook. Or Twitter. You find people like spending 5-6 hours. I have imams of masjids, friends of mine, since the introduction of WhatsApp, their level of iman has dropped so hugely, I'm shocked. We have a group. I have only 1 or 2 groups on WhatsApp. I don't deal with it. I hate it. Especially when people ask me questions. Because on my small phone I have big fingers, so I keep on writing phrases instead of letters. And since the introduction of WhatsApp, in this group, the brother is an imam. And he sends so many inappropriate clips. Women without hijab, music in the background, jokes, and we keep on telling him, Akhi, fear Allah, what is this? He said, oh, we're all over 50, it's okay. Subhanallah. These devices made people evil, more evil than what they are. What's between them and Allah, only Allah knows. The problem is what they share with others. Nowadays, people are exposing their own awrah on Snapchat, on Instagram. I got one Saudi brother from a very reputable family coming to me complaining of his daughter showing her pictures on Instagram and Snapchat in her underwear. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect all of our women and our children. What is this? It was stated that in one of the previous years, a nomad, but a Bedouin, came to the Kaaba with feces in a bag at the season of Hajj, trying to tarnish the Kaaba with feces, with dung. And the people caught him, alhamdulillah, before he could do that, beat the heck out of him, and then he was summoned in front of the judge. And the judge said, are you a Muslim? He said, yes. Why are you doing this? Why were you intending to put this filth on Kaaba? He said, I wanted people to mention my name even by cursing. Even if they say, may Allah curse him, but they've mentioned me. Fame, wanting to be known, wanting to be heard of. Look at Twitter. So many Muslims are saying so many heinous things, bad things about Islam, about their families. Stand-up comedians go to any Muslim so-called Saudi stand-up comedians or non-Saudi, they make fun of themselves.